Alright, there's really not much about hammocks in this video. I was talking to some people online about prepping and growing your own food. Some people say that it's more necessary now, that whatever your religion regarding climate change, global warming, grand solar minimum, whatever reason, that food prices are going to go up and you should grow your own. Well, that's what we do. We've been doing it a few years. And of course, on the subject of prepping, what can you preserve and how long does it keep? We're not preppers as such, but we do grow more than we need and preserve it. Especially with something like tomatoes, because you can have a good year, you can have a bad year. And so when you get a good year, you've got to grow loads and save as many as you can, because the next year you might get nothing. As regards prepping and bugging out or digging in or whatever you do, we're in Eastern Europe and it's like 10 miles of countryside in every direction, so we wouldn't really be bugging out to go anywhere. So, tomatoes. You can preserve tomatoes. You stick them in jars. It's a whole dirty, mucky, hot process. It's a different video. But we've got stacks of jars full of them. So, tomatoes. We have picked loads off here so already. That's peppers. We were a bit late putting them in, but they're just starting. Believe it or not, that's our strawberry patch. We have been somewhat slack on weeding. Strawberries finished ages ago. Right, these are the hot chilies. They will be, they're going to look fantastic in a couple of weeks. This, I know it's a weed, but I think it is called, I could be wrong, it could be fat hen. This is purslane. It's a weed, but it's a very juicy, succulent-y thing, and the leaves are absolutely full of vitamin C. Cabbages, we stick them in a big barrel full of salty water that you have to keep blowing air into through the winter when it's really cold, and it ferments a bit and you make sauerkraut, and it really increases the nutrients in it when you do that. Fermented foods are really good for you. More peppers. We're growing there loofah. This is comfrey. You don't eat it. It's what you call a green manure, and you can use it when you plant stuff, or you can get the leaves, chop it up, put it in water and make a disgusting stinky kind of tea that is brilliant fertilizer. Beans, of course. We've got stacks of beans this year. All you got to do, dry them out and basically just save them. You don't need to freeze them or anything. No special process needed. Corn, blanch corn. Blanch it, stick it in the freezer. Obviously if you're in a situation where the electric's out for a long time, that's no good. Here's some I picked recently. Loads. Oh, more corn, yeah. But it's still not good. You can see there's not much corn on there. Potatoes. The potatoes are finished. They've just got to be dug up. I say just. It is raging hot, and digging up spuds is just horrible work. Figs, we don't usually get many figs, but if they are good, you can stick them in a dehydrator. All the fruits you can stick in a dehydrator, and then just keep them in a jar dried. Eat them in the winter. This is the asparagus pen. It's got to be contained because it just jumps out and goes mad. And that's the big cabbage patch, which I just weeded. And more cabbages. And more peppers. We do save a lot of peppers. And more beans, tall ones. And fallen over beans. Ready for picking. This huge bushy area is our raspberries. Raspberries, of course, just stick them in the dehydrator if you want. That was the onions. Onions are done, they're drying out in the barn. More peppers. And this stuff, I forget the name, but when we put the gherkins in jars, you put this in and it helps flavour them. This is the cucumber zone. The reason they look yellow, those ones there, is because they're being left for seed. The cucumbers are breeding with the pear tree. Good year for pears, really. Grapevine, not good. Because last year was so good for apples, this year is no good for apples. Trees tend to take a year off when they need to. Oh, there's one. That might be the only one on this tree. These are the late plums, which are pretty good. Use them in cakes to make plum crumble, or otherwise known as plumble. And we got yellow plums. We don't normally eat many of these. Normally you kick the tree a few times, get them all to fall off, gather them all up, even the brown disgusting ones, like that, all of it. And we make booze out of it. And we've got about 70 litres stacked up, so we're not making any this year. Last year was a bad year for plums, so we used apples, and it turned out at about 43% alcohol, so it's a bit rough. What we have done though is preserve plums in the dehydrator. It's a lot of messy work. Look at them peaches. There might actually be a good one in there. Be the first time. Yeah, so that's us. We kind of prep, but we're not really preppers. And if you're going to grow your own, you got to be prepared for some hard work, and it is long work, but very rewarding because you know where it's come from. If your seeds are heirloom like ours, you know they're clean, and it's not GMO at all.